There is one thing that not everyone can easily do: the ability to win people's hearts. Sometimes what makes someone admired and respected is not strength, talent, or wealth, but the way a person can touch the hearts of others. We often see great heroes in history with grand victories, sharp war strategies, and sometimes directness and toughness in their actions. However, without strength, they would not be able to maintain the loyalty and respect of others for long. In Chinese history, figures like Liu Bei, Guan Yu, or Zhou Yu are often praised for their heroism, loyalty, and righteousness. However, if we look at another figure, one who is less celebrated for loyalty but who had a profound influence in the Three Kingdoms, we cannot fail to mention Cao Cao. A man who many called a villainous hero, a figure few could agree with regarding his ruling methods, but one who possessed an invisible power that not many have: the ability to win people's hearts. Cao Cao was a brilliant general and strategist who built a powerful empire during the chaotic era of the Three Kingdoms. However, what made him special was not only his military strategy or leadership abilities in war, but an intangible power many refer to as charm, the ability to win people's hearts. History has recorded fierce battles Cao Cao led his army through, miraculous strategies that helped him capture vast lands, expanding his power and influence. But behind those great victories, he was a leader who knew how to make those under him, even his enemies, willingly obey and follow him, even if they might have their own reasons to refuse. It can be said that Cao Cao was not an ideal leader by the usual standards of virtue or righteousness, but he was a master of understanding human psychology, knowing how to apply strategies not only to defeat enemies on the battlefield, but also to retain the loyalty and respect of those around him. In a period full of chaos where military power and strategies were key, Cao Cao understood that to maintain stability and long-term development, he needed a loyal force, a team ready to sacrifice for him. Not everyone saw this side of Cao Cao. In the eyes of the public, he was often seen as a cunning and deceitful figure, a villainous hero who used opportunities and tricks to achieve his goals. But if we look at how he treated his soldiers, how he turned enemies into allies, and how he made those who followed him feel respected and understood, we would see a different Cao Cao, one who could win people's hearts with his sincerity and strategic actions. Cao Cao was not just a historical figure. He was a lesson in leadership, in how to win hearts in any circumstance. The skillful way in which he built trust and earned respect from others is one of the greatest secrets that made Cao Cao one of the most powerful leaders in Chinese history. If you're struggling with building trust with colleagues, leading a team, or establishing influence in society, then the story of Cao Cao and his secrets to winning people's hearts is an invaluable lesson. Let's explore these secrets in future stories of Cao Cao, to better understand how one can conquer not only battles but also the hearts of those around them. The heart of a person is not something that can be bought with money, nor can it be forced, but through thoughtful actions and sharp strategies, Cao Cao proved that a true leader is someone who knows how to turn the hearts of others into the greatest strength. Story 1. Sincerity wins the loyalty of the troops. Throughout Cao Cao's life, there are many stories from which we can draw lessons about winning people's hearts, but one of the most memorable is the story of sincerity wins the loyalty of the troops. This story takes place after a significant battle when Cao Cao had just won a great victory, but faced an even greater challenge: how to maintain the loyalty of his soldiers. The battle Cao Cao had won was a great one, but the loyalty of his troops was not yet fully won. Although he was a brilliant leader, the army under his command still lacked a sense of unity and absolute trust. Cao Cao understood that a victory on the battlefield alone was not enough to keep the soldiers at his side. What mattered more was how to make them feel trust and respect from their leader. One day, while standing on a mountain slope overlooking the smoky battlefield, Cao Cao was talking with his strategist, Chen Gong, about how to maintain the loyalty of his soldiers. Chen Gong, with his sharp intellect, made a rather direct observation. Authority can command soldiers, but to make them die for you, you must show them sincerity. Sincerity, according to Chen Gong, was what Cao Cao needed to show his army. Not commands, not oppression, but true feelings for them. Cao Cao listened and absorbed this advice. He didn't act hastily but thought for a long time about how to show sincerity to his soldiers. In the end, he decided on an action that surprised not only Chen Gong, but all the officers in his army. Instead of rewarding his soldiers with gold, silver, or riches, things they could receive from any leader, Cao Cao chose a special way to reward them. He ordered all the generals and officers to attend a small banquet, where instead of luxurious food or wealth, each person would be served a cup of wine. And as each officer stepped forward, Cao Cao personally poured the wine for them, not forgetting to say deep and sincere words. This victory is not because Cao Cao is great, but because you did not leave me. I, Cao Cao, live as one of you, and should I die, I will still be under your banner. Cao Cao's words were not just a typical reward, but a reminder of the loyalty and brotherhood between a leader and his subordinates. Cao Cao did not want them to fight for money or power, but for trust, for the genuine connection he had built with them through sincere words and actions full of feeling. This story shows us an important truth. Sometimes, winning people's hearts doesn't lie in strategies or tactics, but in how you treat others with true sincerity, especially those who follow you. In a world filled with turmoil and chaos where betrayal and the struggle for power are common, Cao Cao proved that a leader cannot rely solely on power or authority, but must have a sincere heart to maintain the loyalty of others. Not all those who follow you do so for material gain or power. They need to feel respected by you. A timely compliment, a small but meaningful action can change their lives, making them feel that they are not just tools in the hands of their leader, but an essential part of the team's journey. From this story, we learn that loyalty is not something that can be bought with money or power. It can only be achieved through sincerity and the trust that a leader places in those they lead. A leader like Cao Cao, despite his grand victories, never forgot to show respect and gratitude for those who stood by him. This not only made his army stronger, but also created a lasting bond between the leader and his followers. The lesson we take from this story is, sometimes, winning people's hearts is not about strategies, but about sincerity in every action. Those who follow you do not do so because of orders or coercion, but because they feel respect, recognition, and genuine sincerity from you. Story 2. Turning a traitor into an ally. In the life and career of Cao Cao, there are many stories of ups and downs, but the story of turning a traitor into an ally stands out and offers deep lessons on forgiveness and his ability to understand people. Zhang Xu, a general who had once served under Cao Cao, betrayed him for a long time. Previously, Zhang Xu had been close to Cao Cao, but for personal reasons he joined the enemy, Yuan Shao. This was a huge shock to Cao Cao because Zhang Xu was not only a skilled general, but also someone Cao Cao had trusted completely. When Zhang Xu switched sides to Yuan Shao, it shocked and disappointed many in Cao Cao's army. Loyalty was something Cao Cao valued highly, so Zhang Xu's betrayal was not easy to forgive. However, Cao Cao did not react as everyone expected. Instead of seeking revenge, he thought carefully and decided to handle the situation in a way few could have anticipated. Cao Cao, with his sharp insight and understanding of human nature, realized that while Zhang Xu had made a significant mistake, a person who can recognize their mistake and dare to correct it is valuable. Rather than getting angry or dealing with the matter through violence, Cao Cao decided to give Zhang Xu a chance to start over. He not only forgave him, but also entrusted him with an important position in the army. At that time, Cao Cao's decision shocked many in the army, and many generals opposed it because they could not overlook Zhang Xu's past betrayal. But Cao Cao insisted, those who know their mistakes are to be blamed, but those who dare to correct them are truly valuable. He believed that a person can change, and as long as someone is willing to admit their mistake and correct it, they could become the most loyal and devoted ally. Just 1 year later, during a crucial battle with Yuan Shao, Zhang Xu, who had once betrayed Cao Cao, risked his life to save him. In that battle, Zhang Xu once again proved his loyalty by sacrificing himself to save Cao Cao from danger. This act showed the change in Zhang Xu, who had realized the value of loyalty and sincerity that Cao Cao had shown him. In the end, Zhang Xu repaid Cao Cao not with words but with his very life, becoming a loyal and devoted ally. This story is not just a lesson in forgiveness, but also a lesson on how to perceive people through their actions and ability to change. Cao Cao showed that in life no one is perfect and everyone can make mistakes. What matters is whether they have the courage to recognize their mistakes and correct them. Sometimes the people who have made mistakes turn out to be the most loyal and dedicated when given the chance. From this story, we learn an important lesson. Don't judge people by their past mistakes, but look at their ability to change and correct them. A wise leader is not someone who punishes those who have gone astray, but someone who can see the potential and change in them and give them the opportunity to prove themselves. When you give others the chance to correct their mistakes, you not only help them grow but also build a lasting relationship based on loyalty. Cao demonstrated that forgiveness and the ability to perceive people correctly are crucial factors in building a strong and loyal army, ready to fight by your side, even if they had once betrayed you. Story 3. Convincing the world with strength of character. In the history of the Three Kingdoms, there have been many prominent generals and leaders, but Cao Cao remains a particularly special figure with his leadership talent and ability to win people's hearts. One of the most notable stories about Cao Cao's strength of character is the story of convincing the world with strength of character. This story not only demonstrates his strategic ability, but also teaches us a lesson in how to convince others, not with eloquent words, but with real character and actions. Once during a military meeting, a young general in Cao Cao's army began criticizing his leadership. The general argued that Cao Cao lacked the talent to lead the army and was not worthy to command such a powerful force. These words quickly spread throughout the army, making many soldiers uneasy. They thought that Cao Cao would severely punish the young general to set an example for anyone else who dared to oppose him. However, contrary to what everyone expected, Cao Cao did not impose any punishment or harsh treatment. Instead, he called the young general to him and invited him for a drink. When the general arrived, Cao Cao did not speak harshly or scold him, but asked a simple question. "It's natural that you do not respect me, but if I can make you respect me, will you follow me to the end?" Cao Cao's words, gentle yet full of power, caused the young general to pause and reflect. What is special about this story is that Cao Cao did not try to explain or justify his actions, but instead used a challenging question to provoke self-reflection in the young general. Cao Cao did not demand that the general submit to him immediately. Instead, he subtly made him realize that if Cao Cao could convince him through his true talent and character, the general would have a reason to follow him willingly. Cao Cao did not use authority to force others to obey, but instead, he wanted them to follow him because they believed in his leadership ability. This story teaches us an important lesson. Convincing others is not about power or coercion, but about character and one's true abilities. Cao Cao did not demand immediate submission from the young general, but posed a question that made him think about the true value of a leader and how he could follow a leader voluntarily. This was a very subtle strategy, showing that a leader's strength lies not in power but in the ability to persuade and the wisdom in how to handle situations. After the conversation, the young general no longer criticized Cao Cao. On the contrary, he became one of his most loyal allies, not because of fear or coercion, but because he truly respected Cao Cao's leadership talent and character. From then on, Cao Cao not only gained a strong general, but he also proved that he could win over doubters and turn them into loyal allies, helping him build a powerful team. The lesson from this story is, a great leader is not someone who forces others to obey with power or threats, but someone who can convince others through their true character, talent, and confidence. A leader does not need to use flowery words or power to make others submit. Instead, they need to demonstrate their value through actions and true abilities. When others see your leadership capabilities and character, they will follow you voluntarily. Cao demonstrated that if you want to win people's hearts, you must have real character, not just on the battlefield, but in every action and decision you make. When you live and work with strength of character and confidence, you will have a strong attraction and inspire those around you, not out of fear, but because they trust in you. Story 4. Creating opportunities for potential. Cao Cao was a figure with many remarkable military achievements in the history of the Three Kingdoms, not only because of his strategic talent in warfare, but also because of his sharpness in recognizing and developing the potential of those around him. One of the standout stories reflecting this ability of his is the story of creating opportunities for potential. This story demonstrates not only Cao Cao's insight into evaluating people, but also a crucial lesson about seeing and developing potential in those whom society might overlook. The story took place when Cao Cao was still a minor officer, before he established his empire. During a routine check of the army, Cao Cao passed by a camp and saw a soldier on guard despite being severely wounded. Cao Cao decided to stop and inquire. From the soldier's appearance, Cao Cao could see that he was in great pain, but still determined to stand guard and protect the camp. Cao Cao, as usual, did not rush to make a judgment, but quietly approached the soldier and asked, "Aren't you in pain?" The soldier weakly replied, "As long as I can stand and hold the flag, I don't feel pain." His brief but strong answer made a deep impression on Cao Cao, who thought for a moment. Instead of ordering the soldier to return to the camp for treatment, Cao Cao silently made a note of his name, and later, when the soldier had recovered, he promoted him to a higher position in the army. Cao Cao's decision was simple, but profound. He was not looking for someone perfect in appearance or physical strength, but someone with strong willpower, loyalty, and the desire to rise above. This soldier might not have been an outstanding fighter in terms of combat skills or health, but Cao Cao saw his tremendous potential in his strong will. After some time, the soldier not only recovered, but also became one of the bravest and most reliable warriors in Cao Cao's army. Cao Cao had given him an opportunity, and before long the soldier became one of the key generals in Cao Cao's campaigns, proving that Cao Cao's decision was not only wise but also emphasized that recognizing and developing a person's potential is crucial to building a strong team. This story is a clear demonstration that Cao Cao did not just look at what people showed on the surface, but could recognize the hidden qualities in them, even if they didn't stand out initially. Cao Cao understood that those with determination and perseverance would become the most loyal and courageous individuals, willing to sacrifice for the greater cause. By giving them an opportunity, they could fully unleash their potential and become leaders in important battles. The lesson from this story is, don't judge people solely by what they present now, but look at their potential, determination, and efforts. A leader does not always seek perfection from the start. They need to recognize people with good qualities, perseverance, and belief in their ability to change. By giving them an opportunity, you may be surprised by the results they can achieve. Cao Cao was not only an outstanding military leader, but also a master in identifying and developing human potential. He taught us that sometimes we need to look beyond the surface and not rush to judge people based on the challenges or difficulties they face. A person with strong will and a spirit to rise will always find their own way, and it is the leader who creates opportunities for them to shine. Story 5. Keeping people's loyalty with freedom. In Cao Cao's life and career, there were many wise decisions and brilliant strategies, but one of the deepest lessons he left behind was how to keep people's loyalty through freedom rather than coercion or power. The story of keeping people's loyalty with freedom is a clear example of Cao Cao's leadership principle, where he knew how to let those who followed him stay willingly and loyally, not out of fear or force. Once, when Cao Cao's army was got in a difficult situation, a close friend of his, someone who had been with him through many struggles from humble beginnings, suddenly asked to leave the army. The reason was that this friend felt he no longer had the strength to fight and wanted to return home to live a peaceful life. This saddened Cao Cao deeply, because this was someone who had been by his side through many trials. However, instead of trying to keep him with promises or persuasion, Cao Cao made an unexpected and different decision. Cao Cao did not stop his friend, did not use power or promises to keep him, but gently handed him a pouch of rations and said, "If one day you return, my door will always be open. If not, I wish you peace." Cao Cao's words were not full of coercion or regret, but a respect for his friend's decision. He did not want to force his friend to stay, but to let him leave with dignity, with freedom, and his own choice. Many might think that Cao Cao acted too leniently and lacked firmness in such a volatile era where loyalty and steadfastness were vital. Allowing a general to leave might be seen as a serious mistake. However, Cao Cao understood that true loyalty comes not from being forced to stay, but from the voluntary choice to stay due to trust and respect for the leader. This story took an unexpected turn. After several years, when Cao Cao's army faced an extremely difficult situation, his old friend returned, not only by himself, but also leading over 1,000 soldiers ready to save Cao Cao from the enemy's encirclement. This deeply moved Cao Cao, and he realized that by respecting the freedom and decisions of others, he had created a lasting bond with this friend. They were not bound by coercion or material gain, but by loyalty, respect, and the bond they had shared through difficult times. The lesson from this story is, keeping people's loyalty is not about coercion, but by respecting their freedom and choices. Cao Cao understood that someone who is truly loyal is not someone forced to stay, but someone who chooses to stay because they see the value in the connection with you. When you allow others to make their own decisions, you not only prove that you respect them, but also build trust and lasting loyalty. Cao Cao was not a leader who relied on tricks or coercion, but he was someone who understood that loyalty must be built on respect and voluntariness. Those who followed him did not do so for personal gain or power, but because they felt respected, given the freedom to choose, and always had the opportunity to follow their own path. This story also serves as a reminder to us in modern life. Whether you are a leader or simply someone guiding a group or an organization, creating an environment where everyone feels free to make their own choices, decisions, and develop will build stronger bonds than any form of coercion. Loyalty cannot be bought with power or money. It is built from the respect and trust a leader shows to those who follow them. Story 6. Leadership is knowing how to listen. Leadership is not just about giving orders or commands. It is also about the ability to listen and understand the needs and emotions of others. Cao Cao, with his sharp intellect, understood that a true leader is someone who knows how to listen, not just focusing on what they say, but also understanding and feeling the thoughts of those around them. One of the most memorable stories about this leadership quality of Cao Cao is the story of leadership is knowing how to listen. The story takes place on an ordinary day when Cao Cao was walking through the army camp. While doing a routine inspection, he unexpectedly saw a soldier crying in the corner of the camp. This made Cao Cao feel concerned because it was unusual for a soldier to cry in his army, especially during such a tense time in war. Typically, soldiers only cry when they feel desperate or are facing a very serious issue. Cao Cao did not immediately order punishment or scold the soldier. Instead, he decided to approach and understand the reason behind the crying. At that moment, Cao Cao called the soldier over and asked, "What's the matter? Why are you crying?" The soldier, choking on his tears, replied, "My mother is gravely ill back home, but I cannot ask for leave because of military regulations. I fear that if I leave the camp now, I won't make it in time to see her before she passes away." Cao Cao, after hearing this, was silent for a while, thinking carefully. He understood that the soldier was not crying for himself, but for his family's situation. For a soldier, family is an important emotional anchor, and when a loved one is sick, they often feel torn between duty and love. Instead of strictly applying military rules or simply punishing the soldier for breaking regulations, Cao Cao decided to act with more flexibility. He didn't just give permission for the soldier to visit his mother, but also said, "Go back and take care of your mother. But if you do not return within 30 days, I will personally order punishment." What set Cao Cao apart in this situation was that he was not only a commander, but someone who knew how to listen and understand the pain of others. He placed himself in the soldier's shoes and felt the worry and helplessness of not being able to help a sick loved one. Instead of being harsh like other leaders might have been, Cao Cao gave the soldier the opportunity to fulfill his family duties without the fear of punishment, showing that Cao Cao truly listened and understood human emotions. 3 days later, the soldier returned to the camp, bringing with him medicine to care for his sick comrades. Not only did he return on time, but he also took practical steps to help others in the camp, showing loyalty and devotion to Cao Cao. The soldier didn't come back because of force or military rules, but because he felt understood and was led with sincerity, as Cao Cao had not disregarded human emotions in administering justice. The lesson from this story is, leadership is not just about giving orders, but about the ability to listen and understand the issues of others. A great leader does not only act based on rules or use power to impose their will. They know when to apply flexibility, when to listen, and when to make decisions based on the real circumstances. Listening not only helps a leader understand the difficulties others are facing, but also creates an environment of trust where people feel respected and willing to contribute to the organization. This is also a vital lesson in building a strong and loyal team. When a leader knows how to listen and care about the feelings and needs of those under their command, they create a solid relationship and a united team. Decisions are made not only with reason but also from the heart, and this is the key difference between a good leader and a great leader. Cao Cao was not only a brilliant military commander, but also a leader who knew how to listen and understand, which made him an ideal role model in leading a strong and loyal team. Story 7. Courageously facing mistakes. In life, no one can avoid making mistakes. However, the most important thing is not whether we make mistakes, but how we face them and learn from them. Cao Cao, despite being a great leader with glorious victories, was not without his mistakes. But one of the qualities that helped him maintain and strengthen his power was his ability to courageously face his mistakes, recognize his shortcomings, and seek ways to correct them. One of the standout stories about this quality is when Cao Cao faced a major defeat in a battle. After the defeat at the Battle of Red Cliffs, where Cao Cao's forces were badly beaten by the allied armies of Liu Bei and Sun Quan, his situation became dire. This was one of the most significant defeats in his career, not only in terms of military strength, but also in reputation. Many in his army began to doubt his leadership, and Cao Cao's generals were worried about the future of his forces. After this defeat, Cao Cao did not make excuses or blame others. Instead of blaming the soldiers, the weakness of his generals, or external factors, he took full responsibility himself. During a military meeting, Cao Cao stood before his generals and said, "We lost this battle because heaven did not favor us, but the army is still here. Who knows who the final winner will be?" Cao Cao's words reflected his courage in facing failure. He did not try to escape or deny responsibility, but openly admitted that defeat was a part of life and war, and what mattered most was how to rise again afterward. Cao Cao not only used his words to comfort his soldiers, but also reminded himself that defeat is not the end, but an opportunity to learn and move forward. Afterward, Cao Cao immediately ordered a retreat, not rushing to follow the same old strategies, but instead focusing on reorganizing and strengthening his forces. Not only did he restructure the army, but he also re-evaluated his strategies and sought ways to correct the weaknesses revealed by the Battle of Red Cliffs. By courageously facing his mistakes and not being afraid to correct them, Cao Cao quickly recovered and prepared for future campaigns. This proves that a leader is not someone perfect and always victorious. However, true leadership is the ability to recognize one's mistakes, face them bravely, and seek ways to fix them. Cao Cao did not let his failure defeat him, but used it as a lesson to continue moving forward. The lesson from this story is clear. Courageously facing mistakes and taking responsibility is one of the key factors in achieving success. When we make mistakes, instead of blaming others or trying to avoid responsibility, we should learn how to face them and accept them. Only when we truly recognize our mistakes can we grow and improve ourselves. Cao Cao was not only skilled in strategy, but also knew how to look at himself and acknowledge his flaws. This quality helped him become a great leader, not only in war but also in building trust and loyalty in his army. When you can recognize your mistakes and change, you not only strengthen your position, but also earn respect from those around you. Cao Cao demonstrated that failure is not the end, but an opportunity to start anew and become stronger. This story is also a reminder to us in daily life. Don't fear failure, face it and learn from it. Because in those mistakes, we will find valuable lessons that help us grow and achieve success. Story 8. Winning people's hearts with courtesy. In the competitive and tumultuous world of the Three Kingdoms, where power, life, and death could change in the blink of an eye, Cao Cao knew how to use not only military strategies or cunning plans to win people's hearts, but also the finer and more humane qualities like courtesy. The story of winning people's hearts with courtesy is a clear example of this trait of his. The story begins when Cao Cao was in a tense battle and had to deal with many powerful forces. One of the adversaries he needed to deal with was a prominent general, someone from the opposing side, but with notable talent and virtue. This general was Zhang Shu, one of the influential figures in Yuan Shao's army. Zhang Shu had caused Cao Cao a great deal of difficulty in several battles, and he was known as a brilliant commander with significant influence in the military. One day, during a decisive battle, Zhang Shu was captured. For many, capturing Zhang Shu would have been a great victory, as he was a powerful general and a prominent figure in the enemy's camp. However, instead of treating Zhang Shu as a typical war prisoner, Cao Cao chose to handle the situation differently. He treated Zhang Shu with great courtesy and respect. Cao Cao ordered Zhang Shu to be brought into the camp, but he didn't hastily punish or retaliate. Instead, he invited Zhang Shu to a banquet. At the banquet, Cao Cao did not treat Zhang Shu as a prisoner of war, but as a colleague, an honorable fellow general. Cao Cao prepared a hearty meal for Zhang Shu and treated him like an esteemed guest. He even called Zhang Shu by his former title, showing respect for the general, despite the fact that Zhang Shu had become a prisoner. Cao Cao had no intention of humiliating or taking revenge on Zhang Shu. He simply wanted to make him feel his respect and humanity. He even asked about Zhang Shu's family and life, showing concern and courtesy without arrogance or disdain for someone in captivity. For Zhang Shu, Cao Cao's treatment deeply moved him. While many of Cao Cao's officers advised him to deal with Zhang Shu harshly to deter others, Cao Cao chose to handle the situation with courtesy and respect. After the banquet, Zhang Shu not only refrained from retaliating but also felt a deep admiration and affection for Cao Cao. A year later, Zhang Shu risked his life to save Cao Cao in a battle with Yuan Shao, demonstrating that Cao Cao's courteous and humane behavior had won his heart, not through force or intimidation, but through respect and sincere treatment. The lesson from this story is, courtesy and respect can win people's hearts more sustainably than any strength or threat. Cao Cao demonstrated that instead of using harsh measures or cold treatment toward the enemy, a true leader can win people's hearts by treating them with kindness and respect. It is courtesy and genuine concern that create long-lasting relationships, not only in war but in daily life. This story also serves as a lesson in building lasting relationships in the workplace, family, or even personal relationships. We cannot rely solely on power or coercion to maintain people's loyalty. Sometimes a kind word, a respectful gesture, and an act of courtesy can change the entire situation, making others not only appreciative but also willing to follow you. To the end, Cao Cao knew how to turn even his greatest enemies into loyal allies, and that was his true power, not on the battlefield, but in how he built trust and respect from those around him. Leading with courtesy and respect is the key to creating lasting relationships with strong influence. Though Cao Cao was labeled a villainous hero in the history of the Three Kingdoms, he was indeed one of the greatest leaders recorded in history. Not only was he an outstanding strategist on the battlefield, but he was also a master of leadership with deep principles on how to win people's hearts, maintain unity, and develop the potential of his associates. His stories provide not only lessons in war but also invaluable lessons in leadership and life. One of the highlights of Cao Cao's leadership style is his courage in facing mistakes. Cao Cao never blamed circumstances or those around him when facing defeat. Instead, he recognized his own shortcomings and learned from them. This shows that a great leader is not only talented and intelligent, but also humble and willing to correct mistakes. Moreover, Cao Cao showed that leadership is not just about power, but about the ability to win people's hearts. He knew how to win the loyalty of his generals, not through force, but through respect, courtesy, and sincere care. One of the important lessons he taught was, let others willingly follow you, rather than forcing them to obey your will. Cao Cao always respected the freedom of others, giving them opportunities to develop and feel connected to the shared goal. Additionally, leadership is the ability to listen and understand others. Cao Cao did not just give orders, but always paid attention to the thoughts and aspirations of his generals, even the common soldiers. He understood that understanding and empathizing with others is crucial to building trust and loyalty. Finally, the lesson of resilience and never giving up is what Cao Cao taught us through every challenge. He always knew how to rise again after every defeat, and each time he became stronger. Cao Cao was not just a leader in war, but also a guide in life, showing that nothing is impossible to overcome if we have patience and perseverance. In conclusion, Cao Cao taught us that leadership is a combination of wisdom, virtue, understanding, and the ability to face difficulties. A true leader is someone who not only knows how to lead, but also knows how to build relationships, develop the potential of others, and guide them toward shared success. Cao Cao's lessons not only apply to war, but to all areas of life, helping us become wiser and more inspiring leaders.